Peace on earth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's stuff. That's a funny looking strike. All right, here's mic 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. Peace on earth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's stuff. right, not 100% sure what's going on with our open animation there, but it is 7:30, it is Friday, and this is Do You Like It or Not? I'm producer Chris, and tonight we are going to talk a little football, and then we're going to talk a different kind of football, and then we're going to talk about backdoor browsing. I've never heard that term before, but we're going to dive into what that means. Before we dive into all of these stories and more, though, we need to talk about how you can join us live. There's the graphic that we put up every night. We're streaming. There are a lot of different ways to do it, as you know. Cameron says, let's get that bread on TikTok. I agree. Let's do it, all right? We've got 2 shows until the weekend. If you're watching on YouTube, leave some comments in the chat. We will check those coming up in just a little bit. If you're watching on our website, fox5dc.com, or Fox Local on your phone, and you want to join the Zoom room, I've got a link posted on my Instagram. That's Fox5 Producer Chris, Fox5 Producer Chris, also where we are streaming on TikTok behind the scenes, and Cameron is telling me to get said bread. We've also got our Instagram channel. I posted a story in there today. You know, it's Friday. We didn't get as many responses as we normally do. So, you know, you can check it out if you want to, though. And last but not least, if you're watching on the Fox Local app on your connected TV, you can grab your phone, make it a 2-screen experience, scan the QR code you see on the screen, or type in that meeting ID 892-0982-4674, and get ready to weigh in on all of these stories and more. We're going to check in with our in-studio guest in just a little bit. Kevin Walling is going to join us live. He just did the 7 p.m. with Jim Loke, and now he's recording something for the Final Five later tonight. When he's done with all of that, he'll come and join this party. In the meantime, we'll also say hello to our virtual co-hosts coming up here in just a little bit. But before all of that, we're going to dive into our first story tonight, and we're starting off with the World Cup. In case you missed it, right here on Fox 5 earlier today, it was a huge day for the World Cup. It was draw day right here in D.C. In fact, this all went down at the Kennedy Center. You see Tom Brady right there drawing some Jim not making his feelings known. Not a fan of the GOAT, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer quarterback. Anyway, draw day was where qualifying teams are assigned to their groups. They find out who they're going to play in some of the early matches. But while DC was center stage for this part of the process, we will be watching from a distance when it comes to the actual games next summer, because we don't have any here in DC. That surprised a lot of fans, since DC has some of the highest ratings for soccer in the country. But organizers say there is one big problem. It's the fact that DC doesn't have a stadium in which to play those games. We've got Audi Field, we've got Northwest Stadium. Some people said they should have tried to get games at MT&T Stadium up in Baltimore, but I want to know what you guys think. No games in the nation's capital. Do you like this or not? Melissa's just arrived wherever she was going, because we were watching you in the car beforehand.
How you all doing? Good evening. Happy Friday. I am here at Crepes on Main in Laurel. I'll be having a glass of wine, and I'm sorry, but soccer's not my thing. Yeah, I really want to keep everything to myself, because I don't want to make it political. So I'm just going to keep my comments to myself for this one. Okay.
Well, you might want to have some of those comments ready to go for the next story, too. We'll get to that in a second. But Allison, do you like the World Cup? Do you like soccer? And are you bummed that while we were on front and center for the world, I mean, we're talking billions of people who are into this sort of thing, but we don't have any actual games here in DC?
Yeah, I'm not really a soccer fan either, but when I was working in the office during this time, that's all you would hear about all day, every day. So I know how popular and how serious it is. Mm-hmm. And with that being said, I'm very surprised that we don't have a stadium in DC. That is a shock to me. Maybe we should.
Well, I mean, and again, Audi Field, that was, a brand new stadium. That's where DC United plays, but I guess it just can't handle the size of the crowds that they would be expecting for a game like this. David's not here in DC anymore. David, are you a soccer fan? Are you a World Cup fan? Are you a Team USA fan?
Team USA fan.
Team USA fan. I respect that. Are you surprised, though? I mean, this feels like kind of when Taylor Swift skipped over DC too and went right to Philly and everything.
Wait a minute. I thought Taylor Swift played Capital One Arena.
No,
it was,
not
like,
on
way
the
sold
Eras
out.
tour. On the Eras tour, people were flying to Philly. They were flying to Nashville. They were flying up to Boston.
Okay. I thought she played Capital One Arena and it was like going for $5,500 a ticket.
No, this was a.
But for soccer, first of all, hey, there's plenty of places that you can play in DC. Metro Center, you can play downstairs there. I seen a couple of soccer fields out by Anacostia. I think you could get some World Cup games in there.
World Cup action.
do.
Or what about Georgetown? Georgetown's got to have a stadium up in there. You could play, and that's.
You on?
Hey, I'm on TV. We're on TV.
You're on TV too.
And then RFK Stadium, bust that thing open, get that thing ready for
Man,
action.
that thing is a pile of rubble. Chad and Laura, are you disappointed that there will not be World Cup games right here in the nation's capital?
We don't care about that.
Not
Hey,
any
no,
soccer.
No, we don't like soccer. There's an episode of The Simpsons that encapsulates my feelings. It was the American announcer was just like,
Holds
The
it.
Simpsons. It's like they kicks the ball. He kicks the ball. He kicks the ball, and then they show the Spanish announcers, and they're going crazy over it. But yeah, we don't like soccer.
Yeah, I remember that one. Paraguay versus Uruguay. All right. So not a lot of soccer fans in the Lions Zoom room tonight is what I've learned. So it's going to get weird because we're going to talk about it some more, folks. It was huge news today, all right? It dominated. It was, anyway, speaking of soccer, I know you guys aren't fans of it, but President Trump says it's time the U.S. got in line with the rest of the world and started calling it football. And he says we should change the name of the other game that we know as football. Globally, fans distinguish between the two sports by referring to what we know as football as American football. Americans calling the sport soccer is often looked down upon and joked about, but other people defend the use, saying it originated back in England to differentiate itself from rugby football. So, David, we're going to come back to you. The idea of changing, like the NFL, and calling it something different so that we're more in line with the rest of the world. Do you like that or not?
Chris, can I reverse this one on you for a second
Please.
and ask you, what do you think I'm going to say?
I do not think you like this idea.
Yeah, I do not like the idea. And it's simply because it's going to be too hard to change. Our culture has grown up on that, and it's an important part of the past 100 years of America. Should we change for the rest of the world? I mean, you can see the sense of it, Now let's bring over kilometers and meters and all those things too.
All right, well, because you did that, I'm going to refer to one of my recent favorite SNL skits. If you haven't seen it, take a look.
For popular sports like football, we will use yards.
Football, sir?
Yes. It's a sport where you throw a ball with your hands.
So in football, there is no kicking?
There's a little kicking. You kick the ball to get points.
How many points, sir?
Sometimes 1 and sometimes 3.
Very confused, sir.
David, I'm coming back to you, and I'm going to argue your point slightly because growing up, I remember a sport called the WWF. Okay?
Yeah.
World Wrestling Federation doesn't exist anymore. WWE. So it can be done. We can change.
It can be done. I mean, I think the societal and cultural impact of the WWF is a little bit less than the NFL. But I say, if this makes sense to me, if we're going to start using the metric system, let's bring in the metric system and let's try to get that one to work.
Okay,
and see how it goes.
Can we also, I mean, I'm not just to keep picking on you here, but the idea of bringing the metric system, is it the worst idea in the world? Can more people remember 12 inches to a foot or 10 centimeters to whatever the heck it is?
Look, there's sense to it, but now you have to change everything, all the signs, all the textbooks, and it's, how is it really worth the effort to do it?
listen, I don't know the metric system, but I also don't know our current one either. Do you know how often, and I joked about this recently on the Live Zone Primetime, we were talking about how few Americans know math. And I said I use more math in the kitchen than I probably do anywhere else in my life. And I am constantly Googling how many cups to a pint and how many pints to a quart and how many teaspoons to an ounce. I don't have a clue. Melissa, do you like the idea of changing the name of American football?
This man is out of control. I'm sorry. You can't, and I'm sorry, Chris, you cannot compare acronyms to a whole different, soccer is soccer, football, American football is American football, and that's it. Why are you trying to change everything? You're only going to be in office for 4 years unless you're trying to, overrule and trying to do everything else to stay forever. But no, absolutely not. Hell no. Soccer, football. Soccer, football, no.
I will say, and again, not to get political, but of all people, I would have thought Donald Trump would be the last to suggest getting in line with the rest of the world. Allison, what do you think?
I'm with Melissa 100%. And to me, this is definitely like a political power type of thing. I'm going to do something because I can. There's so many other things in the world that need to be thought of. Like, why name something that's been here forever? What is the purpose of that? And I would love for him to say that. We want to change this because what? The truth will never be told on why we want to change that in the first place, but I think it's ridiculous.
All right, Chad, should we go to the metric system or stick with our classic Ava du Pois or whatever the hell it's called?
Well, first of all, Nate Bargatze on SNL was one of the funniest skits in a long time.
In a long time, yeah.
Some things are better measured in centimeters, by the way. What would we call it?
Chad the comedian.
What would we call it? Awesome ball? Like, what else are we gonna call it? Like, let's come up with some better. Maybe if you offered an alternative name that was better, maybe. But no, I don't like it.
You don't like it.
Awesome
but
ball.
What about changing to the metric system? Do you like that?
I was like in school when we tried that. Was that the 80s?
Did we?
I started to learn it, like in high school or in grade school. We started to learn it.
I remember learning it, but
yeah, and then we abandoned it, and like it was hard because we have a mental picture of what an inch is, what a mile is. We kind of feel that. We grew up with that. It's hard to change.
Yeah, but at the same time, like 0 degrees as a starting point makes sense. 32 degrees being freezing, really, that's just unnecessarily complicated. Can we at least agree on that? We don't have to agree on it. All right, let's talk a little American football now, because Washington Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels just got a clean bill of health, and that means he will be back on the field. Head coach Dan Quinn says he will play on Sunday when the Burgundy and Gold take on the Minnesota Vikings. The decision has divided fans, and we have talked about this a little bit. Some want to protect the franchise quarterback since the team is all but out of the playoff hunt. Coach Quinn says, however, this team plays to win no matter what. So, Melissa, playing JD5, do you like this call or not?
So first of all, I just want to make it clear that I am a New York Giants fan, although I do, vouch for the Commanders on the cover. Hell no. And the reason why is because you've had so many injuries, and now everybody's going to try to protect him. For what? For a short goal gain? That doesn't make any sense. Sit your butt down, allow everybody else to play. They don't really have anybody. Like, your season is over. Mm-hmm. Why do that for a short gain? It makes no sense. You're putting your other players in jeopardy, and it's no. Who is coming up with this? Because it's not common sense, not one bit.
Allison, what do you think? I mean, do you like the idea? The more game, even if they win more games with Jayden Daniels, it will hurt their draft prospects in the long run, though, too.
Yeah, and what was his injury again? What exactly happened to him?
His left elbow after getting slammed to the turf. But that was at least his third injury this season. He also had several other ones that sat him for games, too.
And that's what I'm trying to say, Chris. As somebody that has had multiple dislocation, breaks, and casts and everything, let that man sit down and relax. The body does not heal that quick. Even if you are an athlete, you need time to rest. I definitely don't think he should go back yet.
Okay, David, this is a counterpoint to all of that. If he doesn't play, do you run the risk of like not having the mental toughness aspect to it? Do you need to kind of get out there and get over that fear or the hurdle of, okay, I got hurt, now I got to get back down to business?
Yeah, I don't think that logic holds, because you want to make sure you get healthy before you're ready, and you want to have confidence in your body that it's ready to take a lick, Now, in the DC area, you might remember of the Redskins, a player named RG3. Do you remember that guy?
As a matter of fact, yes. And
that's
before you go down that route, I will just say, Jaden Daniels' mom has hated these comparisons, but I understand why people make them, because people pinned their hopes and dreams on this franchise quarterback, and then we saw what happened next.
Yeah, abused RG3, overplayed him, and it ended his career. And he was a franchise player, could have taken DC to really high levels. But they blew it with him. In this case with Jaden Daniels, it's not that you need to be worried about getting your mental competitiveness back up. I think it's more of a concern if you're Jaden Daniels that if somebody else plays in your place, that they could actually win your spot. The old Wally Pipp scenario. Do you know who that is? Wally Pipp?
The name is familiar, but if you put me on the spot, I couldn't pick him out of a crowd or tell you what team he played for.
Wally Pipp, it was the first baseman for the New York Yankees who decided to sit himself out of a baseball game because he had a headache, legend says. He was replaced by Lou Gehrig.
Oh,
and
okay.
Wally Pipp never played again.
Well, I was going to say, I do know the name Lou Gehrig, and I know that he played, so that's a fair point as well, obviously. All right, guys, let's move on. We're going to end our sports discussion. I appreciate everyone playing along, pun intended. We don't talk a lot of business here on DY Lion, but this one could eventually impact anyone who streams TV shows and movies, not on Fox Local. You probably saw today, Netflix has won the Warner Brothers bidding war. Assuming the $72 billion deal gets approved, Netflix would take over WB's theatrical and streaming assets. It would also give Netflix access to the WB's content like Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, DC Comics, and more. Netflix says it expects to maintain WB's current operations, which include releasing movies in theaters, but you know what Netflix does. They're all about streaming at home, and the plot thickens when it comes to the long-term theatrical release plan of this merger, as it remains a big question for many in the industry. So, Chad, Laura, an Netflix HBO Max merger, do you like this or not?
I don't know. What do you think?
I don't like it. I mean, I don't really care about the theatrical releases because movie theaters are disgusting. But if they're going to take over like the streaming, I mean, it takes Netflix like 10 years to put out 2 seasons of a show. We can't wait that long.
Yeah, it's like this is the death of the theater for sure, right?
I think a lot of theaters are going to be nervous about this. The other question I have is, HBO really, and Melissa, I don't know if you're a fan, and I'm curious what you just ordered. I want to take a crepe, yeah.
I'm on a crepes on Main, and I ordered a chocolate drizzle strawberry crepe with a Moscato.
Oh yeah, that nice and indulgent. That is a Friday night plan right there. But I'm curious, HBO, Sunday night HBO, that has been prestige TV for so long. I mean, basically one after another. Will Netflix maintain that level of quality?
No, they will not. I know as a kid growing up, the letters just came out and the theme song for HBO came out and I was like, wow. And as the years went by, it was like, when they started streaming and now you had to pay for separate things, it really didn't have the same concept or effect on me. And Marina earlier today made a great point. You're merging, now you're paying for 2 subscriptions. Now they're going to merge, and guess what? Now you're going to pay up $39, $49 for what? The same thing? Like Laura said, Netflix takes forever. And can you imagine when something does come out like Stranger Things? How many downfalls did we have when Stranger Things came out, this recent episode that came out? you couldn't get in. Everything was getting stuck. So no, I think it's a horrible idea.
Yeah, I am curious to see what this means. You know, obviously Disney and Hulu have already merged. Now, David, HBO Max and Netflix. Is it going to hurt competition? Are we all just going to have to pay? And is it going to get to the point of cable where we're paying for things we don't even care about or want to watch?
Yes, that's the direction it's going. I don't like when big businesses start taking over other big businesses and there are fewer competitors and you get the oligarchy, you know, in economic terms. I like a lot of small companies competing with each other. And man, those other streaming services like, Pluto, Tubi, things like that. I remember when I found those things, gold mine, love the programming they do.
Yeah.
And Samsung TV has its own programming, which is awesome. And so I think we need more competition.
I agree. And to your point, like sometimes the paralysis that comes along with those streaming networks of like deciding what to watch, something like Pluto is great because, or Tubi, you log onto there and they just have like channels that are playing movies 24/7 and you're like, okay, this is just on. And so I'm going to sit and watch it. All right, guys, thank you for weighing in on all of those topics. You can keep the conversation going in the YouTube chat. We'll check that in just a minute. Coming up next, though, we're talking about why one newspaper says backdoor browsing is the guilty pleasure that we are all enjoying, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll talk about it. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Do You Like It or Not on this Friday night. I promised that he would make an appearance. He's just making an appearance in the back half of the show. Kevin Walling, Democratic Stratus, thank you so much for joining.
Am I going here? Am I going there? Wherever.
We'll see you no matter what. How you doing?
Good, Chris. How are you?
What are you talking about on the Final Five tonight?
Well, we did a pre-tape for the holidays,
okay. So
the magic of television,
tonight.
the magic of television.
Got
So
it.
you'll be seeing it in a few weeks. But it was our predictions of some of the more important stories of 2025 and what we think for 2026.
We're already at that point.
We're already there.
Talking about. All right, so you slid in here and for the back half of the show, which is going to
The better half.
set me
The better
up.
half.
Yeah, of course. Setting me up for this next story because we were talking about the back door. We were talking about backdoor browsing. What is it?
Hey
you
now.
wonder?
Hey
this
now.
video sets it up perfectly. Take a look.
You could travel the world, but nothing comes close to the golden.
The best is, did you see not only the eyes in judgment, but the head shake afterwards. Whatever she is looking at on his phone, she is either disgusted or intrigued by. So backdoor browsing is a term the Metro UK coined to refer to looking over someone's shoulder at their phone screen. Experts say snooping is inherently rude. However, they also admit there are times when the bright, shiny object in our line of sight catches our eye. And if you catch someone reading over your shoulder, experts say the best move is simply putting your phone away for a bit so the other person loses interest. So Kevin, backdoor browsing, have you done it? Are you guilty?
I'm guilty of this. I'm guilty of it every day. You know, my husband and I both have Apple Watches, so a message will pop up on his wrist, and I'll look at, and with my ADD, it's like, you know, I'm always looking around in terms of what's going on.
Okay, so if you're riding on Metro or you're sitting at a baseball game and you see someone in front of you texting, are you absolutely trying to read it over their shoulder?
A little bit, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
a little nosy. I'm not
here
nosy.
to judge. I'm sure I would do the exact same thing. Chad, have you are you guilty of backdoor browsing? Keep it clean.
This is like just like peeping toms, and like we live in a giant apartment building. When you see other apartment buildings, we have binoculars to look in other people's apartments. So like we love this.
I backdoor browse.
Binoculars.
I backdoor browse on Chad's phone all the time. Like I always know, like if he's texting or if he's on Instagram. Like I'm nosy.
Okay. Melissa's shaking her head no. She's not a fan of this. Is it because you don't want people to do it to you, or you don't want to do it to other people?
I know I notice a lot because, you know, I have a lot of followers on social media, so people always want to see what I'm posting or what I'm doing, and sometimes I may browse through something or look through some things, and I'm sorry, you're not gonna want to look over my shoulder. I might shock you or you might pass out. Sorry, don't do that.
You know what?
I'm looking over her shoulder at that wine glass right there.
That's a glass of Moscato.
Hey, all right.
These are crepes on
I love that.
Allison, do you do this? Do people do it to you? How do you feel about it?
No one has ever done it to me that I know of. I think it's a little creepy if you're out there doing it in public. That is strange, especially the way people are. But I have done that to a gentleman one time when he was just very distracted, and I'm glad I did because I saw what I needed to see. But
hey now,
typically I'm not one to do something like that.
Interesting. All right, David, how about you? Have you ever done this? Have you ever been in a public area, seen somebody tapping away a paragraph-long text and been like, "Oh, I got to know"?
I can't remember a time that I did that. I do remember, I don't remember with the phone, but I think, I remember there was a girl one time trying to read a newspaper over my shoulder as I was reading it, you know, but no, I mean, it's
harmless. Modern equivalent.
Yeah.
You're right. It's exactly the same thing. Reading a newspaper over your shoulder or a book over your shoulder, something like that, you know? So I don't know, you know, can you, if you like if you're backdoor browsing somebody and you like what they're seeing, can you, you know, like, take their phone away from them and walk away?
Excellent question. Or ask them, like, where did you find that? I want to, like, all right, Freddie's got his phone out. Freddie, are you sharing with the group chat?
Well, actually, let me tell you about backdoor browsing. So first of all, if someone in this train station was looking at my phone, I was like, oh my God, who is the stranger behind me? And then I have to go somewhere else.
Yeah. And that's what they tell you to do.
Kevin Walling, if you're listening to this,
I am, Freddie.
I'm telling you, I just don't want strangers to come at me. Don't do that ever. Don't let anyone do that to you. I'm telling you.
I'm going to share a quick story, and I told this before, but I was on an airplane, and I was watching that Adam Sandler basketball movie set in Philadelphia. I was in the middle seat. My wife was in the window seat. There was a guy sitting next to me, and he was watching the movie off my phone over my shoulder.
Really?
But he was so into it, and he had seen it before. He's like elbowing me. He's like, oh, did you... Like, and I'm like, at a certain point, I just started angling the phone over to him. I thought about it. If it had been like one I didn't care about getting back, but like if it had been the ones that they
your wife got a little jealous, like, oh, it's a little date night with this fellow watching.
It got to the point where I was like, I felt like I had to like do this. And then I went to pick the next movie, and he was like, "Oh, I've seen that one too." So
he was weighing in on your movie selection?
Yes, he was. So shout out to that guy. He backdoor browsed like the best of them. Kevin, thank you so much for spending some time with us here
Chris,
tonight.
good to see you.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, everyone who joined us on a Friday night watching on YouTube or Fox Local, and everyone in the Zoom room. For producer Jim, I'm producer Chris. I'll be back at 9 o'clock with Tony P, his last night in Italy before he flies home. We're going to talk more World Cup draw and more. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time.